Hi, I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of Gold Ray Resources, Inc. Gold, we all know about gold. It's going to replace the paper currencies that we are currently spending and the government keeps printing. But our emphasis is in China, where we've developed a very nice gold deposit next to a producing mine called the Dai Gold Mine. Currently, we are in discussions with Chinese miners on how to progress this property into a 1,500 to 2,000 ton a day operation. I believe that those discussions will bear fruit here in the next 2 to 3 months. In the meantime, we're also focusing on a new discovery we have of molybdenum here in British Columbia with our joint venture partner, Molycorp Gold Corp. That deposit is very shallow and very high grade and is wide open in all directions. Again, we're focusing on gold, platinum, palladium, and copper in British Columbia as well. But we expect that our first production, or major production, because we've had some production out of China, will be China. Gold Ray trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol GOR. If you'd like more information on the company, visit us at goldray.com or phone us at 604-531-9639.
Welcome back to the Money and Wealth Show. Our guest this week is international tax expert David Ingram. And David, there are a lot of Canadians taking a look at the U.S. real estate market right now, particularly in some terribly depressed areas like Florida, surprise, surprise, and going, you know, I got a few bucks. It may be time to buy that little Shangri-La in somewhere warm for February up here in Canada. What tax issues should people who are looking to buy land or property in the States be aware of?
Did you just lead that in? Was that just a soft lob to me so I could bring up this real
I
estate
had no
book?
idea you were about to reach for the prop.
Well, see, it's this real estate action book, which Ozzy Giroux put out, has got 55 authors who
and one of whom just happens to be you.
Yeah, one of them just happens to me. And if
Okay.
you take a look in there, this is the copy I was going to give to you. If you go over to page 266, you find me talking about exactly that subject.
Okay.
But the other point is that there's all sorts of people talking about buying real estate and so on in the States and just about buying real estate in general. So a book I'd recommend, you can find it, go to giroux.com, and good book. And it's got all
But more
those
and
things
more
answered.
of us are taking a look at what we see as real opportunities in the
you
U.S.
mentioned
real
Florida.
estate market.
You mentioned
Florida,
and you don't know this, but back in 1966-67, I was a Canadian manager of a company called Gulf American Land Corporation, which worked out of Cape Coral, Florida. And we had 4 Concorde 990s jet airplanes flying to Montreal and Ottawa and Toronto and Winnipeg, flying 137 people at a time down to Florida, to southern Florida, good Florida swampland.
Okay.
And when I started with them, there were 220 people living in Cape Coral, Florida, and there's now 220,000 people. And it's on the Caloosahatchee River across from Fort Myers, Florida. And that's where President Obama chose to do his first stimulus speech, because it's the foreclosure capital of the world right now.
And thus the awareness of Canadians of that particular corner
and
of the U.S.
I can't think of a better place to go and buy yourself a waterfront condominium or a waterfront house with 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a 3-car garage, and a boat slip out of the back of the house for $389,000.
But then what sort of tax issues are you setting yourself up for?
I'm giving you a good example, because I think it's way better than Palm Springs or Phoenix or something. I don't know why anybody buys in Phoenix. And I think that right now there's still 15% more down to go in the U.S. market, because we got all the ARMs, the adjustable rate mortgages coming up, and they're bigger than the subprime mortgages, and it's just big, 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 big. So if a Canadian, you and I, we go down for whatever, maybe we're friends, maybe we're brothers, maybe we're cousins, but we decide that, gee, you know, it'd be really nice to buy ourselves a place in Cape Coral, Scottsdale, Palm Springs, wherever it happens, Las Vegas, real bargains there. And we go down and we buy the place. Now, if we're just buying it to live in, no problem. We can buy it, we can own it, we can paint it, decorate it, we can use it to our heart's content.
And property taxes locally would be the only issue.
Yeah, we can bring friends down to stay in it.
Okay.
If I die, it becomes part of my estate. And it becomes part of my estate in this manner. And as we're recording this and broadcasting it, there is no U.S. estate tax right now, because Obama's cronies haven't got around to passing new legislation. The existing legislation died on December 31st, 2009. We expect it's going to come back as an exemption of $3.5 million, but it may not. That's what it was in 2009. Might go down to $2 million because that's what Obama campaigned on, taking the estate tax limits back to $2 million. So if I die down there and I've got a $100,000 piece of property or a $500,000 piece of property, there's no estate tax on that property as long as my world wealth is less than $2 million.
Okay.
Now, for this, and or less than $3 million or less than whatever the value that they come for. If it turns out that I still have to file a tax return, though, I've got to file a 709 estate tax return because I died owning a piece of property in the States. And I died and I put my exemptions in and I'm home free. But let's pretend for the sake of argument I had a $1 million piece of property down there and I died with an estate of $10 million and the exemption is $3.5 million for the sake of argument. So I got $6.5 million that's taxable. And $1 million of my $10 million is in the States. So we calculate the tax on $6.5 million, and then I pay $1 million over $10 million times whatever that tax was on the $6.5 million. That's my estate tax. Now, it's not all bad because I'm going to have a capital gains tax likely on that piece of property when I die from my Canadian tax return. The Canadian government, in a treaty that was signed in 1988, allows the tax that you paid on your estate tax to the States to be used as a credit against the capital gains tax in Canada. So that looks after you and I just went down and bought a place. It's not rented, it's not a business property.
Right.
If we decide to rent it, right, we decide to rent it.
And it becomes a revenue producer.
Or I decide I've got a business and I decide to let my staff use it for a week a year or 2 weeks a year. It's now a business property. Now I have to do a U.S. tax return for either the rent I received or the rental value of what I gave away. And because it's a business property, I can no longer paint it, decorate it. I can't sweep the front yard. I can't fix the garage door if it's broken. If I do, I'm subject to deportation. And I have to do a tax return, depending where I'm in. If in California, I do a 540 NR and a 1040 NR. If I'm in Arizona, I do a 104 NR and a 1040 NR. If I'm in Florida, there's no state tax, so I only have to do a 1040 NR. If I'm in Nevada, no state tax, just a 1040 NR. I file a Schedule E with that 1040 NR to report the rental income. If I pay tax on it because I made a profit, I then take the same figures that are on that Schedule E, put them on a Form T776 in Canada, and if there's tax paid to the States, I claim the tax is a foreign tax credit on my Form T2209 and T2036 in Canada.
In Canada, here.
In Canada. So I get credit for the tax I paid to the States. When I go to sell the property, if I just go to sell the property and I make, let's pretend I make $100,000. If I make $100,000, I got to pay tax to the United States, likely 15% if I'm in Florida and 23% if I'm in California, because every state has a different tax rate. And I then get to claim 1/2 of the tax that I paid to the state. So let's pretend I make $100,000, forget about exchange. I end up paying $23,000 tax to the States.
Okay.
In Canada, I cut the capital gains in half because Canada says we only have to pay tax on half of it. So I calculate the tax on $50,000 instead of $100,000.
And then you get to subtract half of tax that you've already paid to
half
the
of the tax
American
I paid to the States because we're only
source.
taxing half of it. And that's not fair because we tax half of it at full rates and they take the full rates and tax it at half rate. So it doesn't work out right. It's unfair. But that's what you have to do. That's what keeps me in business.
And most importantly, regardless of the situation you're going into, the key is homework and awareness of what the potential upside or ramifications might be from doing any kind of deal.
You got it. All this information you can find really easily by going to www.centa.com, which is my website. Just search rental Florida, rental Phoenix, rental Arizona.
And it's all there.
It's all there.
All right. David, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Now, normally at this point in the show, we go to Mr. Ingram for a tax tip, but today's show has been one complete tax tip. It's been a pleasure having you.
Sterling, it's been a lot of fun, too.
And
silver fox you.
And the website, friends, is www.centa.com.